You might not like the use of traditional there.
Yeah, what's up with that? Traditional for the future.
So exactly, obviously the space has changed a lot. Airbnb is one part of it. You've also got these startups like Lyric and Domio that are doing alternative accommodations, like renting out a floor in a residential building. How do you compete and keep up with that?
Yeah. Well, listen, I think we've always been at the forefront of travel. We've been at this for 20 years, and one thing that has been consistent for 20 years is
hence the use of the word traditional.
I know. How about experience?
Okay.
How about that?
Okay.
The one thing that's been consistent is this is an incredibly competitive industry, and despite all of the competitive forces that have acted on us, Expedia last year did $100 billion of bookings, multiples of the size of Airbnb and many of these players out there. We've got thousands and thousands of the top engineers and data scientists and product minds in the world focused on travel, and that's how we stay ahead.
So let's talk about the short-term rental business, then we'll go bigger picture. You recently rebranded VRBO to Vrbo.
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know.
You'll get used to it.
Okay, so why, and why not consolidate HomeAway and just make it one seamless experience?
Yeah, Vrbo or VRBO has been around for a very long time. And if you go back in time, people used to talk about getting a VRBO for the weekend. It was the noun. And as we went through and did a ton of research here in the US and also internationally about all of the different names we could call the new Vrbo, Vrbo was the one that actually resonated the most. And so we decided to put all of our effort behind that brand. We're pretty excited about rolling it out globally in the coming years.
Will we be seeing you make acquisitions in this space, make investments in this space?
Listen, I think M&A is always part of our playbook, so I would never say never, but we're pretty happy with what we've got in alternative accommodations, and we're pretty excited about putting all of our efforts behind Vrbo.
Okay, so let's talk about macroeconomic issues. Obviously, it's June, this is peak travel season, and yet we've got a US-China trade war, we've got market volatility, we've got an incredible amount of political uncertainty around the world. How is that impacting traffic?
Well, so far, so good. It looks like a healthy travel environment to us. Recent research done by Expedia here in the U.S. is 85% of people are planning on taking a trip this summer. 15% was for budget constraints, and this is broadly consistent with what we've seen. So Americans are traveling. Global travel industry generally looks pretty healthy. So far, so good.
But are you thinking about it? Do you have a plan B if things go south, which, who knows in this administration?
Yeah. Well, listen, we're fortunate that we're a global business. So in good times and bad times, we definitely see shifts in travel patterns. But people often just take their trips as like the last thing they cut, and maybe they'll take a trip a little bit closer to home. They won't take that trip, overseas, but they travel. And if you look at our results over the 2008-2009 period, for example, those were some of our strongest years.
Now, you've also got an innovation lab. You're looking into how AI can, change the travel experience, can boost your numbers. What are some early things that you're finding?
Well, first of all, we sit on reams of data, 750 million visits to Expedia Group properties every single month. And that just gives us an incredible amount of understanding, if you will, around what travelers are looking for, how we can tailor our search results, how we can tailor the recommendations we give, the advertising that we show. And that's just the beginning. We're also using AI to help inform some of our lodging partners with pricing tactics to help them price more effectively, both in the alternative accommodation space and in the traditional lodging space. And honestly, I think we're just getting started.
So, as you've got more one-stop shoppers or attempts to be a one-stop shop, Google doubling down on travel as well. How well positioned in 10 seconds are you?
In 10 seconds. Amazing. I mean, listen, we've been doing the one-stop shop before it was cool. We've been doing it for 20 years.
Yep.
And not only are we about search, but we're also about booking and taking care of people during their trip, and no one else can do it.